Visit them online at techtimeradio.com.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, have you ever heard of turbo debt?
No, what is that? Something to get me into debt faster?
No, turbo debt is not to get you in debt faster. It's to help you get out of debt. Do you have over $10,000 in credit card, personal loans, medical, or payday loans?
Of course I have debt. That's the American way.
Au contraire, mon frere. Turbo debt will give you the option to break the debt cycle and start putting money in your pocket.
That's awesome.
Over 70% of Americans die with credit card debt. Do not let this happen to you. Turbo debt will give you an option to break the debt cycle and start putting money in your pocket.
That's awesome.
If you have over $10,000 in credit card debt and personal loans, medical or payday loans, they can help. Go to turbodebt.com/techtime. Again, that's turbodebt.com/techtime, all capitalized, for a free consultation today. TurboDebt is a proud sponsor of this week's episode of Tech Time Radio.
Broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to
stop talking.
I got you. Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week, the show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. Each week, our show covers the weekly top technology subjects without a political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and of course, with a little whiskey on the side. We live stream during our show on 5 of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch TV, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And we encourage you to visit us online at techtimeradio.com and become a Patreon supporter by going to patreon.com/techtimeradio. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host, a technologist with 30 years of technology expertise working for Fortune 500 companies across the country. And my co-host here, Mike O'Day, is an award-winning author. Originally from Arizona, Mike's a human behavior expert living in the Seattle area with a master's degree in forensic psychology. Mike is here to help me keep from geeking out while providing insight into human behavior and how it interacts with technology. We are two friends from different backgrounds, but bring the best technology show possible every week for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
Today on Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, Facebook probably owes you money. We explain how to collect this. Plus, China is looking to take on the world in many different technologies. And we're not talking about TikTok this week. We talked about that last week. We're talking about all these other technologies. And boy, China got in trouble this morning. We're going to be talking about that too a little bit later. Of course, we have James Riddle back on our show to discuss a specific area of China's interest in collecting genetic data. Then after that, we take a look at what happened on April 16th, 1977. If you're a computer geek right now, go Google April 16th, 1977, and see if you have the story about the most two significant computers that were released that day. And then finally, we have what we found on the web. Boy, Elon Musk is all over in the news. We've had him not on for 3 weeks, so we decided to go gangbusters on what we found on the web with what Elon is doing.
Okay.
It's a little crazy.
Sure.
Have you heard what he's got going on?
No, I haven't been paying attention.
Oh,
I know he's been tweeting a whole bunch of
okay.
stuff.
So you got Chat GPT, right? I don't want to ruin the story, but what if you came up with Truth GPT?
Oh God.
Okay, we'll be talking about that. All right. In addition, of course, we have our standard features, including Mike's mesmerizing moment, This Week in Technology, and a possible Nathan Nugget. As always, we have our pick of the day whiskey tasting during the commercial to see if our selected whiskey pick gets 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up at the end of the show. So sit back, raise a glass, and welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Now it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right, story number 1, Facebook likely owes you money. So we've always talked about these lawsuits that happen, right? And so a lot of these class action lawsuits that happen, no one ever gets money. There is a class action lawsuit right now that if you used Facebook anywhere between the dates of May 24th, 2007, just used it, all the way up to December 22 of 2022. So
Really?
if you ever used Facebook, you are eligible for this class action lawsuit. So you need to pay attention. You can make, I don't know anybody that probably hasn't been on it if they're in technology, at least since May 4th of 2007, right? So, I mean, that's a pretty basic thing that I would expect.
I think I started Facebook in 2008.
So, yeah. So, I mean, everybody's got it. So, essentially, this is free money the Meta owes you. Now, you're eligible to get it. If you choose not to get it, then you are self-selecting out to ever sue Facebook. So, it's a big class action that's going on. If you choose not to be a part of it, then essentially you'll never get any money from that.
So do I have to register to be a part of it?
Yes, you do. Meta has agreed to a settlement class action suit that's worth $725 million.
I mean,
that's how much they have to pay
a
out.
couple of bucks.
Yeah, in order to get the cash, though, for the settlement between the dates of May 24th, 2007 and December 2nd, 2022, you don't even really have to verify you logged in. You just have to say you used it. You can go to www.facebookuserprivacysettlement.com. Now, pay attention to this. It's www.facebookuserprivacysettlement.com. Users must submit the claim by August 25th, 2023. However, the users that object and do not sign out, essentially by default, are opting out to ever sue Meta. So you have until July 26, 2023, if you want to have another action against Meta, suing for anything in privacy settlement, you have till July 26th of this year.
Yeah, so we have less than a week to do this.
Well, so we got to do it quick. That's what we're talking about now.
You have less than a week. This is like, hey, we're gonna tear down the town hall. We've been planning it for 8 years, but you only have a week to complain about it.
Well, no, the users have to submit the claim by August 25th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
August 25th. But if you want to...
I thought you said April.
No, sorry. Okay. August 25th. Absolutely. August 25th. So you have until August 25th to get this taken care of. But if you don't decide to sue them by July 26th, then you're in trouble yourself. So make sure you sign up. Otherwise, you are by default giving your rights away to ever sue Facebook for any privacy issues.
Well, then I guess you should probably, get
I already said. I got on it. I'm already on it. Yep. All right. Story number 2. That's all about you, Mike.
It's not all about me. It's all about the Chinese.
I know. What's going on here now?
A Chinese satellite that goes on an inexplicable sightseeing tour after researchers put some AI in control.
Uh-oh.
So an AI that was put in control of an Earth imaging satellite to make it more efficient chose its own target areas, including the home of an Indian Army regiment.
Oh, wow.
This AI was allowed to control the satellite's camera for a full day, during which time it took photos of different locations on Earth, and it chose targets for reasons that, quote-unquote, eluded the researchers. During the test, the AI autonomously chose areas on the surface to survey and capture image, but as the Post points out, the research team is unclear as to why it did that. One of the areas that I'm not going to try and pronounce that word. That's the name of the thing.
Okay.
But the satellite reportedly targeted was Patna, a city in India situated along the Ganges River. It just so happens that this area is home to an Indian Army regiment that had clashed with China's military in 2020. I wonder. Another location imaged by the AI was Osaka, a major metropolitan area in southern Japan, but also an area that, quote unquote, occasionally hosts U.S. Navy vessels operating in the Pacific.
So the AI from this China satellite knew to go to these targets. So either because they're being searched all the time,
I guess it just sort of took a tour and said, okay. So, it's entirely possible that the AI was trained to spot military related targets and that this technology could eventually be leveraged for surveillance purposes.
Oh, I'm sure they wouldn't do that.
Yeah. With all the stuff that's been going on lately.
Wait till you hear what broke this morning out of New York, man. This is crazy crap. All right.
Well, for now, it would appear that we're safe from the rogue AI piloting the satellite on its own volition. And for sure, this tech might eventually be integrated into a spy satellite.
I'm sure it is.
So
the AI takes over a satellite, and they just by default, the camera decides to go to military.
I'm sure.
Installments.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know that these guys really are that clueless as to why the AI did what it did, but who knows?
Maybe it had a database and that's what they all searched on, so it decided to do it itself randomly. I mean, that's what happens when you have an AI search database. The most common search algorithms that you go to find something on Google ends up becoming how they do their algorithms. So if you're always typing in go to this longitude and latitude, that would make sense completely.
Yeah, that would make sense. But
all right, well, story number 2, 2 criminal complaints filed by the United States Attorney's Office. I know it's 3. It was 2 to hang on. It was 2 this morning when I wrote this, and by the time
I know maybe you should not fly back from wherever you were.
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
That's a pretty long trip. Okay, so there's 3 criminal complaints now filed by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York were unsealed today in federal court in Brooklyn, charging 44 defendants with various crimes related to National Police of the People's Republic of China. This is the PRC, which is the Ministry of Public Security, MPS. So essentially, these are the FBI and CIA agencies of China. So you got the PRC, which is the FBI equivalent, and they're the police, but they call them the FBI, and the Ministry of Public Security, which is the CIA, the MPS. Breaking news this morning, we have ABC reporting about a secret China police station in New York City. Let's go to the source of this breaking news article.
This morning, though, China is pushing back against claims that it is running secret police stations in the United States. And this follows the arrest of 2 Chinese nationals in New York.
Both people are accused of running a secret police station in Manhattan, helping to intimidate critics of Chinese government. It's just one of 3 cases that prosecutors say show the reach and the impact that the Communist Party has in the United States and all around the globe. This morning, Dre Clark is outside the building where that secret police station allegedly operated to walk us through all of the operations there. This is bizarre. I'm sure if you live in New York, you're thinking, what's going on?
Yeah, a lot of people definitely sort of mesmerized by what's happening here in the Chinatown section of Lower Manhattan. But when you see that building here behind me, 107 East Broadway, it looks like just another ordinary office building. But federal investigators say inside there was an entire floor set up for an illegal secret police station run by the Chinese National Police. It is the first one discovered by the FBI anywhere in the U.S. And inside, investigators say they found evidence of Chinese espionage or spying, as well as other illegal security operations.
The men and women created thousands of fake social media accounts to attack dissidents, and it's alleged they would also interrupt or interfere in phone calls made by dissidents, and they would remove content online that was critical of the Chinese government.
And the MPS is on notice that we will not tolerate similar threats to our national sovereignty.
All right, wait a minute.
So that happened this morning.
Okay, now they were here.
Yes.
And they are
operating in a building
here
in New York
to target Chinese dissidents that are in the country.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Continue.
Okay. So right in downtown New York, people go into this building like it's a standard work operation building. Mm-hmm. They are there specifically targeting Chinese individuals and some other individuals also that have influence. But what they're doing is they're sending them hate crimes. Some of them have gone to the point where they're actually putting bribery out there and including misinformation, including pictures of people doing stuff that is illicit to cause problems with this so that people turn against these individuals. Now, not only that, but we have them also essentially going and posting threats against the participants on the platform that went to the Tiananmen Square massacre, and they did a big video conference posting that they showed on here. And they went through each of those videos themselves, and whoever submitted a video directly attacked them. Will call them up on the phone, harass them at every hour of the hour, saying that you have misinformation, you're a part of the West, you're not a part of China, we're going to come to you, threatening mob action, death to families. Another company here, Company One, because we can't say their name, I had a video conferencing topic about counter communism organized by the PRC. And essentially the group flooded the video conferencing and drowned out the meeting with loud music and vulgar screams and threats directly at pro-democracy participants.
Okay, so they're just here using technology to try and dissuade Chinese immigrants from
But it's a pretty aggressive attack. That you wouldn't have had people arrested this morning. It wouldn't be such a big news article. But it's not just, hey, we disagree with you type of deal. This is targeted attacks on social media, on tech platforms, to the spot where it's amazing that Facebook will automatically jump in and do the work now as needed to regulate some of these items for the United States government, probably hoping that the United States
maybe those
government...
guys should get on the class action lawsuit to pay for their lawyers.
There you go. Okay, well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. Moving on, we have James Riddle up next as an expert on some more issues with China, but this now has to do with genetics. You're not going to want to miss this segment. You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. We'll be back after this commercial. Hello, listeners. We're excited here at TechTime Radio, aren't we, Mike?
Oh, no.
We have an announcement to make starting in June. We're really excited to be a part of an internet radio station. That's right. Coming up in June, you will still be able to listen to us live here at Kixie 880 and KKNW and all of our affiliate stations. But you'll be able to listen to us at 8 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday now. We look forward to this new opportunity to provide you Tech Time Radio every weekday. And again, you can always catch us online at techtimeradio.com. All right, welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Tech Time is a weekly hour technology show that talks about current technology in a simple format without having to geek out here. Brought to you by myself, Nathan Mumm, and Mike Corday. We just had our first whiskey tasting during the break. Now let me tell you about what we are sipping in our pick of the day. During the show today, we have chosen the, how do you pronounce this?
Paniolo.
Thank you so much. Blended whiskey, 80 proof. $39.40 for the 750 milliliter bottle.
Wow, this comes from your shelf.
Was that this does come from my shelf? Why is that? Is it because it's cheap? Is that what you're saying?
It's a cheap one.
Okay. Yeah. Well, according to their website, blending mainland tradition with Hawaiian history. The whiskey combines bourbon with Maui Gold pineapple. The pineapple is distilled to neutral to allow for an extremely clean and smooth whiskey with notes of brown sugar, caramel, and sweet corn. It's distilled in Hawaii. It's an American whiskey. There's no age statement on the aging, but it's a minimum of 3 years. It's 70% corn, 30% wheat. What's your take on this so far?
It's good.
I kind of like it.
It's got a really nice taste. I didn't really get a real full sip of it because we were in a rush. But
we were in a rush to go from place to place. Okay, well, okay. I'm liking what you know what? There's no burn on it.
I'm liking what I'm tasting so far.
There's no burn. There's no burn. All right. Now that we got our first whiskey tasting completed, let's move on to our feature segment that includes James Riddle, the Vice President of Research Services and Strategic Consulting for Advera. Joining us from the greater Phoenix area, his 20-plus years of progressive leadership experience in life science is a key contributor to our show, as we are excited to talk to him today about the collection of genetic data and some Chinese concerns. Let's welcome James to our video stream and start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our Tech Time Radio expert, James Riddle.
All right, James, welcome to the show.
Hi, James.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are things in, it looks like you're in Arizona.
I am indeed, and it is nice and sunny and warm, as you would expect in the greater Phoenix area.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a gray and gray.
In fact, it was so gray a minute ago, you couldn't even see out the window.
Okay, all right.
Maybe we can hand that over to the genetic engineers over in China, and they can change the weather for us too.
Well, this is loaded for China. I mean, China is. Well, we normally don't pick on a nation state or a state or a nation, a group of people, quite like we're doing today. So this is a China bashing episode. So I'm sorry if you're pro China, you're probably going to be pro not listening to this episode. But okay, let's just continue on. So now let's talk about this. The National Counterintelligence and Security Center says American companies need to be better secure with their critical technology as Beijing seeks to dominate the so-called bioeconomy. Chinese firms are collecting genetic data from around the world, part of an effort by the Chinese government and companies to develop the world's largest bio database. American intelligence officials reported this and have concerns. Tell me a little bit on your expertise, James, when you hear this. What's your thinking on this?
Well, I was recently at a conference where I was listening to a presentation by a gentleman by the name of Edward Yu, who's referenced in some of the articles that you're reading about, and he's from the National Counter. I have to read it here because it's a long title. National Counterintelligence Officer for Emerging and Disruptive Technologies, part of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, Office of the Director for National Intelligence.
Wow.
Now,
I'd like to see all that written
both-
on this door plate.
Yeah, I need a drink.
yeah, I mean, try putting all that on a business card. But I am both humbled and encouraged that the U.S. federal government has such a person watching out for growing and emerging threats to to our country and to the organizations that conduct research, but also just general population and companies that do business in this area. And what they're getting at here, the National Counterintelligence Agency issued a warning not too terribly long ago. There's plenty of news articles about it. You can go and Google this particular topic. And the concern is that the Chinese national government is prioritizing, funding, and actively building a very, very large database of human genomic profiles. So think your DNA sequenced and put into a database for use by the Chinese national government. That's the concern, because it's not just Chinese nationals, it's folks who interact with organizations that are owned by Chinese companies. The Chinese government last year denoted that genomic information is now a national resource. And so these companies, the concern is, if you are interacting with an organization that's owned by a Chinese company, those companies might be forced to turn over your genomic data over to the Chinese government.
So why would I care that my genomic code, DNA code, is being given to China? Why would somebody need to care about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that. That's a great question. Why would we care? Is that a concern for us, or is it just like them watching TikTok videos? Not a big concern. What's the concern on that?
Well, the primary concern is that you could have potential economic harms. You could have potential issues with medical utilization of your genomic profile for medical blackmail or something along those lines, or even something more nefarious and conspiracy theorist-ish, where there could be potential genomic differences in the general populations that the military could exploit at some level. All of those things are the things that Dr. Yu at the National Intelligence Center is paid to think about as a member of the general population. There's nothing I can do about it personally. And so I'm not, from a private citizen standpoint, I don't think I would be terribly concerned. Lots of people probably already have your genetic information, particularly if you've done any kind of Ancestry&Me or 23andMe or signed up for any of the U.S. government national programs to sequence DNA. I mean, quite frankly, the U.S. federal government has this same kind of database. It's governed by the National Institutes of Health under their Genomics Center, and it's called the Database of Genotypes and Phenotypes, and it's got a massive amount of genotypic data about U.S. citizens that have enrolled in National Institutes of Health funded trials over the years.
All right, so let's talk about these. So you got Ancestry.com, right? You got the other company, which I never heard of, 23andMe. So I'm not into the ancestry stuff yet. I think once you hit a certain age in your life, you want to go back and look at it. It seems like my parents did it at like 60.
That
so I probably hit
depends
60.
on where you focus on, You're more into video games.
Yeah, they're probably that. But it sounds like, here's when I start reading this information, and we're going to go back and talk about Mr. Yu in a second. But when I was reading this information, it looks like financial stakes on this are huge. It looks like there's industry regarding the biotech sector that's at $4 trillion a year in owning these type of information. That's equivalent to the valuation of Amazon and Apple combined. So pretty big type of company there. But it seems that I spend money at this company. I pay them $100 or $200 to find out about my DNA and my ancestry. And essentially then these companies are again then selling that data. Is that what I keep on reading in these articles? Because it looks like
yes,
that's what's happening.
Yes, the short answer is yes. When you send your $100 or your $49.99 or whatever it is to Ancestry.com or to 23andMe, in order to get your ancestral results back, so you can figure out if you immigrated from some small city in France or something, then as part of the terms and conditions that you sign, because of course you diligently read all of those terms.
No,
and
you just got everybody just says okay, right? You don't read those.
Everybody
so
reads the terms
diligently
and
read
conditions.
through all of those things, you will find that most of the private for-profit genomic companies have the ability to anonymize your data set. So they're going to take your name and your address off of there, but they're going to be able to package that data and sell it to people who might be able to commercialize it. And the folks who are going to be able to commercialize it are the ever-growing number of gene therapy-based companies who can mine this really rich database of genotypic and phenotypic information. So your gene profile combined with information about you, where you live, where you grew up, what kind of food you eat, things of that nature. And they can look for particular patterns and genetic markers that would help them develop new gene therapies that might be able to fix some of these things. And so that's the fastest growing segment of clinical research as far as R&D spend is in the area of gene therapy. And you'll see more and more of these coming to market. So in order to most economically develop a gene therapy product or a new therapeutic agent, you can do it one of two ways. You can go out and find a bunch of people who have the genetic marker you're interested in, which takes a long time and a lot of money. Or you can go to one of these companies that has a large genomic data set, or you can go to the US federal government and ask them for their data set and follow their rules. And you can mine that data set for certain genetic markers that would correspond to the thing that you're trying to treat. And if you can find one in that data set, you could be able to commercialize that particular treatment and make lots of money. So there's an economic incentive for these Ancestries and 23andMe's to sell this data to other parties.
Okay, so I watch, of course, Marvel's superhero movies. I'm not going to Star Trek. All right, so
you just did.
Okay, but so I watch the Marvel movies, and it's all about like Captain America, right? So he's got like some genetic sequencing that he gets, and it helps him to enhance. My concern is, and maybe I'm just way off on this, but is the availability with this Geno database? Could you actually go through and God forbid a Hitler type person comes on up here and says, I want blondes and blue eyes, and then start taking a whole list of people and kind of sectoring them out and maybe targeting those genos specifically?
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the short answer is yes. With somebody's genomic profile, you can find out a lot about them. Hair color, eye color, general physical traits, even some traits that might translate into general, what we might consider behaviors or learned behaviors. Some of those behaviors have genetic traits to them. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is we're probably a fair bit away from Captain America enhancements.
Yeah, we're still babies in that arena, right?
I'd hope so.
But the potential is there, and so that ties back to the concern from the National Intelligence Agency of why is China so interested in gathering the genotypic information of lots of people that are outside of China. U.S.
So let's talk about that, right? Because you were up here in Seattle for this event, and of course we went on out and we had a beautiful dinner together talking about this. And you said that conference that the FBI came on in and talked to you guys directly, and that there were some pretty big concerns. You kind of talked to them a little bit about it, but what was your takeaway of that meeting with the FBI of the concerns specifically regarding China and some of the aspects of what they're doing in the space itself?
Yeah, so the specific concern that was articulated by the associate director of counterintelligence, Dr. Yu, is that China is actively collecting genomic profiles of people who may not necessarily know that their genetic profile is ending up in the hands of the Chinese military. And there's been a number of articles in this in Reuters, as well as in Axios. Just as recently as last year, there was a big article and write-up in Reuters about a company it's a Chinese-owned company called BGI,
Okay.
and they created a genomic test for prenatal screening, which by itself seems rather benign. You take a genetic test, you can find out while you're pregnant if your kid's potentially predisposed to a genetic disorder.
Okay.
But the resulting genomic profile of the baby and the mother was going back to China and presumably to the Chinese military. And the question is, why was that? Because nobody was told about it. And there was a fairly big brouhaha over in China, both in the agencies over in Berlin, here in the United States. It was a big thing. And then just last year, there was articles in Axios. So this is not like super secret military surveillance kind of, this is written up in the general literature, that the Chinese companies were being demanded by the Chinese Communist government to hand over their genetic-based databases to the Chinese military for military purposes. And the question is, why are they doing that? And why would they need to do that? It brings up all kinds of potential issues. Back to your earlier comment about what could you use this for? Well, there's some concerns there that U.S. citizens and citizens of other countries outside of China are being targeted to gather the genetic data. Chinese companies have made investments in 23andMe. That's openly reported in the news. And so, 23andMe has the largest private genetic database of any company out there, and they're partially owned by the Chinese government. So the question is that a concern? And if it is a concern, what should the U.S. federal government do about it? To temper that concern, the U.S. government does this too through the National Institutes of Health. They have an active program to gather genetic information about U.S. citizens. It's called the All of Me Project, where you can volunteer to give your genetic information over to the U.S. government. In the thoughts would be that they could use it to develop cures at the National Institutes of Health. But it's still, you're handing over your genetic profile to the U.S., to a government agency. And it's not like a PIN code where you can change your password or you can change your PIN. It's your genetic profile. You can't change that. And so there's just a general concern about what is this stuff going to be used for? Who has control over it? What could it be used for in the future, for future unspecified things we haven't even thought of yet in the genomic realm? It's a concern. And it's good that the director of counterintelligence is thinking about these things.
So let me ask you that. Okay, go right ahead, Mike.
Does this information transfer conflict at all with things like HIPAA laws?
Well, I'm not sure if the Chinese government's particularly concerned about HIPAA regulations.
No, I'm sure they're not. But if they're American-based companies, they have to pay attention to some of that stuff. So my curiosity is whether or not DNA profile would fall under something like HIPAA law, which is about
so under the HIPAA regulations at 45 CFR 164. So if there's any regulatory wonks out there like me, you can go and Google regulation. But you can de-identify protected health information under the HIPAA regulations to the point where HIPAA doesn't apply anymore.
Right.
So genomic profile by itself, without other identifying information like name, social security number, address, genetic material or genetic profiles themselves are not considered protected health information under HIPAA. HIPAA was written back, 20 some odd years ago, before the idea that you could take somebody's genomic profile and learn something interesting about them. Right. And so it's not considered protected health information unless there's some other triangulating identifier on it. And
so would you volunteer your information, James? Let me ask you that. Would you go and do one of these tests and volunteer your genome information out there?
No.
Why is that?
I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm not exactly sure why they would use it or why they would want it. And if I had an interest in where my history and ancestry, I'm going to go track natural records rather than trying to look for some.
Well, thanks a lot, James.
No, that's what. Okay, so that's a great question. I mean, I was curious about.
I'm also a lot of people.
If you wanted to go down the Star Trek Guardians of the Galaxy kind of a discussion, because we do that sometimes here on the show.
Yeah.
If you were born in the United States within the last 50 years, the some government agency somewhere already has your DNA because they took it as a blood spot card when you were born. So
Okay.
I'm under no illusion that if the U.S. federal government wanted to find me based on my genetic profile, they probably could figure out a way to do it. I'm not concerned about that either.
Okay. So now, is there a way to protect your DNA and bioinformation? Like, I can kind of protect some of my user information, not really in the criminal mind, because I always have to log in with a social security number and I always have to put in information that gets compromised. But is there any special type of way that you can clean it up and not have that stuff available online, or is you just pretty much be safe and if you're too aggressive, you're too sorry?
I mean, just use general good privacy practices. If you do, the folks at the Center for Counterintelligence are not worried about people who are playing by the rules, right? Okay. They're worried about people who aren't going to follow the privacy rules. So if you sign up for a 23andMe test and you check the box on the system as don't share my data with anybody, 23andMe is going to respect that. Like they wouldn't be able to stay in business if they didn't. And so there are opt-out options at Ancestry and at 23andMe and the other private genomic testing companies where you can tell them, like, here's how it's okay to use my data. Now, the folks at the Counterintelligence Agency, they're concerned about nefarious actors who wouldn't care what box you checked, and could they get access to these large-scale data sets and use them for some nefarious purpose?
Yeah, but that's just like anything else we talk about. Facebook, TikTok.
All of them have the same issues.
Yep. Passwords.
Yep. Okay. Well,
data
James,
breaches.
Should we be concerned about China? Last question before we head off here. I thank you so much. Are you concerned about China in this area or not?
I'm not any more concerned about them than I am about anybody else.
Okay, so that kind of is like me and my TikTok version. You know what? If people are concerned about TikTok, well, then they probably should be concerned about Facebook, and they should be concerned about everything else.
I mean, we've established over and over again that this stuff's already out there.
Correct.
So
we volunteered with the internet age. We volunteered to give all of our information about everything. We
volunteered for it. We just weren't properly
trained
shown what could happen.
All right.
So we're all in this now.
All right, James, thank you so much for being a part of our show. We always love you each and every time we have you on, giving us great information. This is perfect on our China episode. I will look forward to seeing you again on a show coming on up here, hopefully in the next month or so, James.
All right. Take care, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. That ends our segment, Ask the Expert with James Riddle. Up next, we have This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as I will be doing during the break, and Mr. Gourdet will be doing so also. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
This is Mark
and Greg
for Copiers Northwest
with a terrific offer
called Printer Care Plus.
It's simple. Buy HP printer cartridges from Copiers Northwest and we'll service your current printers for free.
That sounds too good to be true.
It's made possible due to our HP Copiers Northwest relationship.
Copiers Northwest is an HP Platinum partner,
one of only 2 in the entire Northwest.
And now with Printer Care Plus,
Copiers Northwest will provide free printer service
as long as they purchase genuine HP cartridges from Copiers Northwest.
That's right. IT departments no longer have to service printers
or fix paper jams with Printer Care Plus.
They can focus on more strategic initiatives
and let our experienced technicians keep their HP printers up and running.
Sounds like a love-love relationship for IT departments.
Don't get too carried away. So how do they get more details on Printer Care Plus?
Call Copiers Northwest today, 206-282-1200, or visit copiersnw.com.
Copiers Northwest. New ideas, new solutions.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right, April 16th, 1977, the release of Apple II and the Commodore PET. Do you remember the Apple II?
Yep.
Do you remember the Commodore PET?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's some people will know the Apple II and the Commodore PET may not be as high on their area, and we'll talk a little bit why. On the same day, at the first annual West Coast Computer Fair, both the Apple II and Commodore PET 2001 personal computers were introduced. Now, it's funny that they used 2001. They used the PET 2001 based on the Space Odyssey music.
Space Odyssey.
Yep, so they had it named after that. Ironically, Commodore had previously rejected purchasing the Apple II from Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, deciding to build their own computer. Essentially, Apple went to Commodore and said, would you buy our hardware technology and distribute it to the world? And of course, Commodore said, no, we don't want to do it. We don't think there's any future in your hardware product. Okay, well, now both computers use the same processor, the MOS 6502, but the companies had two different design strategies, and it shows to this day who won. Apple wanted to build computers with more features at a higher price point. The Commodore wanted to sell less features-filled computers at a low price point so everybody could adopt them. The Apple II had color graphics and sound, selling for $1,298, while the Commodore PET only had the monochrome display and was priced at $795. As history unwinds, we can see the Apple II color graphics won out. Well, that was This Week in Technology. Have you ever wanted to watch some tech time history with over 2 years of video, podcasts, and blog information? You can visit us online 24/7 at techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows. And you can also join the Tech Timers Facebook group to talk to us live all the time. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we have Mark's Mumble Whiskey Review and our Technology Fail of the Week. See you after the break.
Hello, my name is Arthur, and my life's work is connecting people with coffee. Story Coffee is a small batch specialty coffee company that uses technology to connect people to each product resource, which allows farmers to unlock their economic freedom. Try our Medium Roast Founder Series coffee, which is an exotic bourbon variety that is smooth, fresh, and elegant at storycoffee.com. That's STORI coffee.com. Today you can get your first bag free when you subscribe at storycoffee.com with code TechTime. That's STORI coffee.com.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
Well, it's April 18th, and if you don't know it, you probably should. It's National Tax Day.
Okay.
So hope you got that done.
Your taxes had to be submitted by today. Is that right?
That's right. Or you have to file for
an extension. Like you can do this for like years and years and years for like $20 or $15. So I don't know why
I don't care. I do mine early. So.
Okay. Good job. Good job.
More importantly, it's National Animal Cracker Day.
What? And National Animal Cracker?
Animal Cracker Day.
Do you remember those cracker boxes that used to have the little cloth type deal, and it was like a circus?
Yeah, they still make those.
Oh, those were the best.
Yeah,
okay. That's a good day today. Okay.
Who can resist the temptation to indulge in the handful of iconic treats of our childhood?
Okay.
Animal crackers are arguably one of the best recognized food products on the planet today. So
they do.
National Animal Cracker Day.
I love them.
Now, I'm not sure what has to do with whiskey, but you know.
Well, come on. Mark's days of the week have nothing to do. He finds the most obscure ones he can find.
Weird. So, I don't know. National Tax Animal Cracker Day.
Okay.
Right. Back to the whiskey. Paniolo whiskey is named after Mexican vaqueros or cattle drivers who were brought to Hawaii after Captain George Vancouver gave cattle to King Kamehameha.
Kamehameha the first.
These vaqueros embraced the Hawaiian tradition and became known as Paniolo, or cowboy in Hawaii. Enjoy Paniolo whiskey, the spirit of the Hawaiian cowboy. Now, Mark cannot give us a real scoop on this one because he has not had the chance to taste it, but he is curious. It is not a fake flavored whiskey, as it uses real pineapple distillate to blend in, and he is hopeful that both of us leave him a sip to try.
Well, I don't know if I'll leave him a sip to try because I'm really digging this.
Yeah, you'll probably drain it on the way home.
Well, hopefully not while I'm driving on the way home, but after I get home, then I'm liking it. This is kind of smooth.
It's a good taste. It doesn't have a lot of burn. I'm enjoying it.
All right.
We just gotta.
You see that?
We just got
a finger. There you go. Odie's keeping us on track here.
Right.
All right. That's what happens when Odie didn't get any whiskey. So she's just flipping lots of fingers.
I don't know. We're getting saluted over there.
That's all right. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? That is a great deal for Mark to put this together. We will save him a little bit of a bottle. I got this from my brother. He actually had it signed when he was over on a trip over there. It must be nice to go to Hawaii all the time. But I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I think it's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
All right. Well, You know what? Whiskey and technology, it's like a great pairing, like apple pie and ice cream. Right, Mike?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our
I'm not tracking where you're going with this, but let's go.
Okay. All right. The next segment we have is what we found on the web.
What we found on the web.
All right. It's been weeks since we talked about this fellow. My good old hero, Elon Musk, says he wants to start Truth GPT to rival OpenAI and Google. Now, he's not my hero, so I just want to be very clear.
Yes, we know.
All right. Elon Musk plans for his own AI company. They're starting to come into focus. The Twitter CEO says that he wants to create a third option for a company that could challenge OpenAI and Google. In an interview with Fox News, oh great, Musk said that he is thinking of calling the venture Truth GPT.
You've been talking to Trump?
I don't know. Well, I think Trump probably owns Truth some type of marketing, so he's going to be in trouble with Donald there. And the goal would be to create a maximum truth-seeking AI that tries to understand the nature of the universe and that hopefully does more good than harm. Now,
I think Elon has been hitting the paniola a little bit too heavily. He's operating on too many fronts.
He acknowledged that he would be starting with a significant disadvantage to its rivals as he's starting late. Yeah, he hasn't started yet. So he's going to come to the they've only been working on it for 10 years, but that's all right. Often the case, it's unclear how serious or far along his plans are, but speculation about Musk's AI ambitions have been mounting as he recently filed paperwork for a business called X.AI Corp.
Yes, he's fighting on too many fronts, I think.
You can't win a war when you're fighting all the fronts.
You have to define truth before you can experience it. So
I love that open-ended thing. The maximum truth-seeking AI.
Yeah,
will do more good than harm. Okay.
All
right. Well, let's talk about a retired NASA spacecraft is re-entering the Earth's atmosphere on Wednesday, tomorrow. And some of the parts of the vehicle expect to crash on Earth. So this is a dilemma. I read this article and I'm going, how are we okay with this?
This happens a lot. This happens quite often, actually.
Okay, the RHESSI spacecraft is expected to burn up on its entry into the atmosphere at high speeds, but some parts of the 660-pound machine are likely to survive the descent. The good news is that NASA says the risk of harm coming on folks on terra firma is low at approximately 1 in 2,467. Now that's not that low.
No,
that's a pretty high number. I mean, most of the time when you win the lottery, it's 1 in a million type of chance, but the chances of getting hit are 1 in 2,046.
But where is it going to happen?
For anyone wishing to don a hard hat for the case and expect the reentry of the atmosphere, they have no forecast of exactly when it's going to come, and they're uncertain of it plus or minus 16 hours of when it will arrive. So they have no idea on Earth where this place is coming, and they have expecting it tomorrow at 9:30 p.m., but they're plus or minusing 16 hours.
Okay. All you got to do is wear a hard hat for 32 hours.
Okay. So you can just now crash space junk down anywhere on Earth? Is that something that NASA gets to do? So what if Russia wants to have their space shuttle and they decide that they want to crash it? I don't quite get this. Now we can just...
I thought they had to have it on a specific zone.
They try. Yeah, I think they try to calculate where it's going to.
So I think they try to, but on this article, I spent tons of time, Odie, trying to find that out. And essentially, they really don't know where it's going to land, but they hope to know. And once they do know, they'll let everybody else know.
They're going to call you up specifically.
So what happens if this goes to Russia?
Hey,
I'm just thinking NASA has this thing come on down, and all of a sudden you have all this.
This happens all the time. This happens a lot. Where things enter our atmosphere and are burned up and stuff are left over. So this probably isn't that big of a deal.
All right. Okay.
And unless we get a call that Nathan got hit by a 2-pound
nut from a
that's only
satellite.
And
it's only 1 in 240. 1 in 2,467 chance. Okay. All right. Now let's get ready. Speaking of fails, we'll go to our technology fail of the week.
We are out of time. Congratulations. You're a failure.
Oh. I failed. Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
Did I?
Yes.
All right. Real simple here. Big news. Google stock drops as Samsung considers switching its devices to Bing.
Oh, no.
Google shares dropped 4% after a report of panic within Google over Samsung considering a switch to Bing. Bing could be taken over as the default search engine on all Samsung devices thanks to its integration of ChatGPT artificial intelligence features. The shift would mark the first time in 12 years that Samsung has strayed away from the Google infrastructure, which has historically dominated the search engine market. Google employees reportedly found out Samsung was considering the switch last month, and the New York Times reported that according to the internal messages, there's panic within Google's walls. Google has struggled to keep up with the AI competitor like Bing, so this may be the first big shot Bing comes into taking over Google's empire. All right, well, we're going to now head into our Mike's mesmerizing moment.
This is Mike's mesmerizing moment, presented by Story Coffee. Visit storycoffee.com.
All right, here's the big question for you. We only got a minute.
What's the big question?
Why do people in the U.S. fear China?
That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question.
Do you want this is a normal thing, right? Why do we fear people from China? Because of all the stuff that we're talking about.
Okay,
right? It's scary to think about these things. Typically speaking, a social unit creates propaganda about other social units in order to create fear in the social unit. That keeps them vigilant, and that also helps justify things later on, like conflict. So China being a world power with a very different culture from ours, just that simple fact that they have a very different culture from ours makes them scary because we don't like different.
Okay.
Different equals dangerous in our limbic system. So anything that's different, that gets highlighted through stuff that we've just been doing, through stuff that the U.S. government is doing, and through actions by the Chinese government itself is doing. And that creates a kind of national hysteria that can, in some ways, peak in different ways. Yeah.
Essentially, China's become the Russia of the 1980s.
They're doing some hinky stuff. And it behooves us to pay attention to it, but I don't know if we need to really just go around freaking out about it.
I don't either.
Like James said, I
kind of like what I say with TikTok.
Freak out about it.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to. I know we really love to.
We just need to pay attention. But this is like everything that we get. Everything that we get on the news is mostly negative stuff, and that creates in us survival reactions that we're not aware of, but it creates our perception of other people and other things. So.
All right.
That's
it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell.
Not going into the 45-minute breakout.
I mean, yeah, we can talk about this for there's a lot of things going on here, but that's a pretty broad stroke.
All right, let's move to our nugget of the week.
This is your nugget of the week.
Oh, you even got to play your music.
Oh, my Nathan Nugget. All right, GameStop. Buy one, get one free sale includes popular PS5 and Nintendo Switch games. Have you heard about this?
No,
I
hear they're going out of business soon.
Well, this is if you would like to buy anything at GameStop, well, GameStop still exists. Now's your chance. GameStop is running a buy one, get one free sale on select console games. The deals cover unopened Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox games, including, listen, that's the key. The deal covers unopened games. Essentially, they're getting rid of their inventory as quick as they can on everything that they have that is new, including popular titles like Octopath Traveler 2, The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, Mario Strikers, Battle League, Mario Golf, Super Rush, and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl.
Pokemon.
Did I say Pokemon?
Pokemon. That's like Star Trek.
Okay. The deal applies to online and in-store purchases. If you have more than one console, you can mix and match and still get the buy one, get one free deals. If you're stocked up on games, the retailer also has a buy one, get one half off sale on all toys, clothing, Funko Pops, t-shirts, and everything else in the store, including PC gaming peripherals, mice, keyboards, microphones, everything. So essentially, this is GameStop's last attempt the cash grab before the business files for bankruptcy.
Yeah, I think we're not going to. There's a lot of businesses that are going out of business, and I think GameStop's on that list.
All right, let's do our pick of the day.
All right, what's our pick of the day?
Our pick of the day
And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
All right, it's our
Paniolo
blended whiskey, 80 proof, 39.40. Essentially, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
You like it? Why do you like it?
It's got a nice flavor. It's got a smooth taste.
Okay,
no burn.
I'm gonna give it also a thumbs up. Odie, what did you give it? She gave it a thumbs up. She gave it
she
2
didn't even
thumbs
taste
up.
it.
I know she gave it 2 thumbs up though. That's nicer than the other fingers we saw. So
Yeah.
all right, that is perfectly taken care of. Well, we want to thank you for listening to our program. And remember, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. See you next week.
Bye-bye. Look, there's that finger.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/TechTimeRadio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, Mumm's the word. Have a safe and fantastic week.